Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We'll get you top stories from India and the region. I'm Tanvi Taneja, and for news from the rest of the world, I'm joined by my colleague in London, Ollie Barrett. Good afternoon, Ollie.
Afternoon, Tanvi. It's 12:30 p.m. here in London, 1:30 p.m. across Central Europe. Coming up in the next half hour, a joint sitting of India's Houses of Parliament. 1 week to go until the UK election, and Britain's royals say goodbye to Japan's. First, the headlines.
India's President Draupadi Murmu addresses the joint sitting of both Houses of Parliament, says today's Bharat is solution-oriented, lauds the voters of the Kashmir Valley for giving a befitting reply to India's enemies with a record turnout in the recently concluded parliamentary elections. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and opposition leader Keir Starmer clashed over election betting, Partygate scandal, taxation, borders and immigration in a face-off during a TV debate. Ukraine's Zelensky hails the extensive EU support regardless of internal institutional changes, set to sign 3 security agreements, including one with the EU in Brussels today. And a coup attempt thwarted in Bolivia after a military assault on the presidential palace. Peace returns to the capital La Paz after top army general is arrested. Up first, news from India. President Draupadi Murmu addressed the joint sitting of Parliament on Thursday and congratulated all the newly elected MPs. She said that the country created several records in the recent general elections 2024 and the entire world is talking about it. President Murmu highlighted the successful election process in Jammu and Kashmir, saying Kashmir witnessed low voting amid shutdowns and strikes in the last 4 decades. But this time, Kashmir Valley gave a befitting reply to India's enemies with a record voter turnout.
इस बार भी महिलाओं ने बढ़ चढ़कर मतदान में हिस्सा लिया है। इस चुनाव की बहुत सुखद तस्वीर जम्मू कश्मीर में भी सामने आए हैं। कश्मीर घाटी में वोटिंग के अनेक दशकों के रिकॉर्ड टूटे हैं। बीते 4 दशकों में कश्मीर में हमने बंद और हड़ताल के बीच कम मतदान का दौर ही देखा था। भारत के दुश्मन इसको वैश्विक मंचों पर जम्मू कश्मीर की राय के रूप में दुष्प्रचारित करते रहे, लेकिन इस बार कश्मीर घाटी ने देश और दुनिया में ऐसे हार ताकत को करारा जवाब दिया है।
President Murmu noted that in the last 10 years, the country has risen from the 11th position to become the 5th largest economy. She said that India achieved this feat despite a pandemic and geopolitical conflicts in different parts of the world. She also asserted that the government is striving to make India the 3rd largest economy in the world. President Draupadi Murmu stressed the government's unwavering faith in the constitution while also slamming the 1975 emergency as the biggest and darkest chapter of the direct attack on our constitution.
25 जून 1975 को लागू हुआ आपातकाल संविधान पर सीधे हमले का सबसे बड़ा और काला अध्याय था। तो पूरे देश में हाहाकार मच गया था, लेकिन ऐसी असंवैधानिक ताकतों पर देश ने विजय प्राप्त करके दिखाया, क्योंकि भारत के मूल में गणतंत्र की परंपराएं रही है। मेरी सरकार भी भारत के संविधान को सिर्फ राजकाज का माध्यम भर नहीं मानती, बल्कि हमारा संविधान जन चेतना का हिस्सा हो, इसके लिए हम प्रयास कर रहे हैं।
Regarding the recent instances of paper leak in some competitive examinations, President Murmu said that her government is committed to a fair probe and ensuring that punishment is given to the culprits.
हाल ही में कुछ परीक्षाओं में हुई पेपर लीक की घटनाओं की निष्पक्ष जांच और दोषियों को कड़ी से कड़ी सजा दिलवाने के लिए मेरी सरकार प्रतिबद्ध है। संसद ने भी परीक्षा में होने वाली गड़बड़ियों के विरुद्ध एक सख्त कानून बनाया है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, meanwhile, has hailed the rising visibility of Indian universities on the global stage. The Prime Minister highlighted the government's commitment to quality education and providing opportunities for growth and innovation. Sharing a post on social media platform X by Chief Global Affairs Officer at the Times Higher Education, Phil Beatty, the Indian Prime Minister said, and I quote him, "Great to see India's university is making strides on the global stage. Our commitment to quality education is yielding encouraging results. We will continue to support our educational institutions and provide opportunities for growth and innovation. This will help our youth greatly." On to Europe now. The top European Union posts have been decided by the European Parliament. Germany's Ursula von der Leyen is set to return as President of the European Commission. My colleague Ollie Barrett is in London. He gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Ollie, take us through the agenda of the EU leaders meet today.
Sure, Tanvi. As you say, European Union leaders are meeting to finalise strategic direction for the bloc and to appoint leaders for its institutions over the next 5 years after elections, with a specific emphasis at this summit on Ukraine and enhancing the European Union's defence capabilities as well. The agenda aims to assist the incoming head of the European Commission, who's expected to take up office in October, with a preparation of a detailed work plan. The 27 national leaders are likely to endorse Ursula von der Leyen of Germany for a second term as President of the Commission. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is also in Brussels. He's expected to sign 3 security agreements, including one with the European Union. In a social media post, Volodymyr Zelensky said that for the first time it would enshrine the commitment of all 27 EU member states to provide Ukraine with support regardless of internal institutional changes. And we can go live to DD India's Alex Cadier, who is at the summit in Brussels. Alex, on that EU security agreement with Ukraine, what does it mean in practice?
Well, Ollie, we've actually just heard from President Zelensky himself, who was addressing the press with the outgoing Council President Charles Michel. President Zelensky expressing his gratitude for the support from European partners, and Charles Michel talking about that security agreement. Now, it is the formalizing of a support that has already been very present by the European Union, offering financial support, loans, structural support, and of course civil servants from all sides working together to try and strengthen Ukraine's defenses, but also Ukraine's day-to-day running as a state. And this security agreement will continue that support from the European Union. No firm commitment on a number, money-wise or particular supply of weapons has been made, but it is the formalizing. Charles Michel said it was a proof that the European Union will stand by Ukraine for as long as it takes, but the Ukrainian president still taking the opportunity to say that Ukraine does need more, does want to move towards those next steps of getting more air defenses. We've seen energy infrastructure there being targeted, so clearly it is the formalizing of already very prominent support by the EU for Ukraine, Ollie.
Alex, and on the top jobs for the European Union, some tensions behind the scenes. What do you know?
Yeah, all eyes on Giorgia Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, who had reached some kind of agreement with Ursula von der Leyen for the renewal of her term as the European Commission President. But Prime Minister Meloni now very, very cross indeed that she has been iced out of some of the discussions. She said in a speech criticising the EU before coming here that some leaders are ignoring the democratic will of the European voters in the last elections. The third biggest group currently in Parliament is her ECR, her some would say a far-right group in which Meloni is very prominent, I should say, and none of the top jobs, the European Council, Commission, Parliament, or the top diplomat, have gone to that group. That is a source of frustration. But even within that conservative group, we're seeing the Polish PIS party thinking about possibly leaving the group, which would reduce Giorgia Meloni's leverage. So clearly this meeting of those council leaders will have some friction, some back and forth, but the likely outcome we expect will be Ursula von der Leyen for a second term, ditto for Roberta Metsola, the Parliament President, and Antonio Costa, the Portuguese Prime Minister, in at the Council, and Kaja Kallas, the Estonian PM, in at the EU's top diplomat position. But still, that still has to be hashed out by the leaders in the coming hours.
Okay, Alex, thank you. The Kremlin says Russia is considering a possible downgrading of diplomatic relations with the West. That's due to what it says is the hostile approach of the United States and its allies to Moscow in relation to the Ukrainian crisis. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters that no decision has yet been made.
Due to the growing involvement of collective West and United States in the conflict over Ukraine, of course the Russian Federation cannot be considered various options for responding to such hostile intervention in the Ukrainian crisis.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and the Labour Party leader Keir Starmer have clashed repeatedly in what was their last head-to-head debate on television of the election campaign here in the UK ahead of the general election vote a week today. The debate was mainly focused on election betting, Partygate, taxation, benefits and immigration. Rishi Sunak repeatedly urged viewers and voters not to surrender public policy to the Labour Party. Keir Starmer accused Rishi Sunak of being out of touch. Both launched personal attacks against each other and their party's credibility.
We had an independent internal inquiry into what happened, have taken action and suspended the candidates involved, and I've been crystal clear that they should face the full consequences of the law. But Keir Starmer talks about leadership in politics. I also think leadership means being straight with people. It means having the courage of your convictions, not changing your mind on every single position that you've taken.
France's left-wing parties have united for the country's upcoming parliamentary election in an attempt to block the far right's path to power. Opinion polls suggest the anti-immigration national rally, we should say, is riding high ahead of a snap legislative election with 2 rounds on the June the 30th and July the 7th. President Emmanuel Macron dissolved Parliament and called the election after his alliance was trounced by the RN in recent European elections. President Macron will remain president after the election, but will have to work with a prime minister from whichever party or alliance wins a majority in the National Assembly. In the United States, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump will meet on a debate stage later for the first of 2 televised face-offs. The debate comes ahead of their rematch race to win the White House in November. More than 4 months ahead of the vote on November the 5th, the debate would be the earliest presidential debate in modern US history. Joe Biden's campaign hopes he gets to talk about abortion and Donald Trump's about immigration, but debate moderators will decide the questions. The Bolivian government says the army is under control after a coup attempt. Defence Minister Edmundo Novello has assured the nation that those responsible for the attempted coup will face justice. A calm has returned to the central Plaza Murillo Square in La Paz after the Bolivian armed forces pulled back from the presidential palace. A general was arrested. Tensions have been building in Bolivia ahead of general elections in 2025. The country's seen a severe economic crisis with 2 political parties battling for control of the ruling party.
Those responsible will have to face all the consequences, both in civilian justice and also in the realm of military justice. In that regard, I want to inform the Bolivian people about what has happened between yesterday and today with our armed forces, of which I am in command as a minister. It is due to some bad soldiers. It is a disgrace and a dark stain.
Para nuestras Fuerzas Armadas.
Russia has strongly condemned the attempted coup in Bolivia and called on other countries to refrain from interfering in the country's internal affairs. It also says it hopes that calm will be restored in the region. The Russian Foreign Ministry says the country extends its unwavering support to the government of President Luis Arce, and it says that Bolivia should deal with its problems within the framework of constitutional legality. Here in London, the King and Queen have formally bid farewell to Emperor Naruhito and his wife Empress Masako of Japan. They've left Buckingham Palace on the final day of their state visit to Britain. King Charles III hosted a state banquet earlier in the week, and in a speech at that banquet he praised the close bond between the UK and Japan. The couple arrived in the UK on Saturday and carried out informal engagements over last weekend. The visit also included viewing Japanese-related items from the royal collection, touring Westminster Abbey, attending several banquets, and visiting the UK's flagship biomedical research centre, the Francis Crick Institute. And that was actually a long delayed state visit for Japan, Tanvi, because of COVID-19. And when the general election was called here in Britain, there was some speculation it might have to be delayed again, but it went ahead with a few tweaks.
Yes, went ahead successfully. Thank you, Ollie. Ollie Barrett joining us all from London. Still to come on DD India Global. Kenyan military deployed in Nairobi as more anti-government protests flare up despite President Ruto's tax climb down. IMF says it's concerned about the tragic events. Taiwan warns against travel to China after Beijing last week issued execution threat for those deemed as die-hard Taiwan independence supporters.
Nature also finds these uninvited guests quite unpleasant. Let's try to find out how to deal with these uninvited guests in the best way possible.
That you just add water to the container, and then there is a killing ingredient inside which ensures that those adults do not emerge out from that, so the force multiplier gets reduced.
The red fire ant. We need to take immediate action to prevent it from spreading further, so we can keep the red fire ant under control. The damage to agriculture is massive.
We're looking to develop pest control techniques that can be used on a large or small scale and on different plants.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I am Tanvi Taneja. On to Africa now. Police officers and protesters clashed in the central business district of Nairobi, Kenya on Thursday. Police deployed tear gas in attempts to disperse the crowds of anti-government protesters and made arrests. The anger over the tax hikes has led to the most serious crisis in William Ruto president's two-year presidency, with especially young people taking to the streets in protest, even as Ruto backed down on the planned tax hikes in the face of public outrage. More than a dozen people died and hundreds more injured after protesters took to the streets to oppose the tax hikes on essential items. Police were seen firing off tear gas in Nairobi's central business district in attempts to disperse protesters on Thursday, despite the president's climb down on proposed tax hikes. DD India's Isaac Lucando sent us this report from Dar es Salaam in neighbouring Tanzania.
President William Ruto is facing a major crisis 2 years into his presidency. Youth-led protests have grown from online complaints about tax hikes into large rallies demanding political change. After the protests intensified, Ruto decided not to sign the tax hikes into law. Some supporters say their goals have been met and will not protest further. Others insist they will continue until Ruto resigns. Both police and the military have blocked roads to the State House and Parliament, and many shops stay closed, fearing more unrest. In a speech, President Ruto defended the proposed tax increases, but admitted the public rejected the bill. He promised to talk with young people and start budget cuts. The protests, unlike previous instances in Kenya, have no clear leaders. Demonstrations have attracted thousands who are angry about a hike in living costs and corruption. The Kenya Medical Association has reported 23 deaths and 30 people with bullet wounds, with many others injured. Isaac Lukando in Dar es Salaam, reporting for DD India.
Back to Asia now. Taiwan's government raised its travel warning for China and Chinese-run cities of Hong Kong and Macau on Thursday, telling its citizens not to go unless absolutely necessary, following a threat from Beijing last week to execute those deemed as die-hard Taiwan independence supporters.
In view of the continuous increasing and amending of relevant national security laws and regulations in mainland China, Hong Kong and Macau, in recent years, there have been quite a number of cases of Taiwan people going to Chinese mainland to be illegally detained and interrogated. After an overall assessment, the government believed that it is necessary to raise the travel alert to orange from June 27 this year.
Indian Army Chief General Manoj Pandey flagged off a pan-India motorcycle expedition on Thursday, marking the 25th anniversary of the Indian victory over Pakistan in the Kargil War of 1999. The expedition serves to showcase significant contribution and honour the legacy of our brave soldiers. 3 teams of 8 motorcyclists each have embarked on the historic journey from 3 corners of the country: Dinjan in the east, Dwarka in the west and Dhanushkodi in the south. These riders will traverse diverse terrains and challenging routes, symbolizing the unity and resilience of our armed forces. On their way, the riders will reach out to the Kargil war heroes, veterans and Veer Naris who are residing at various places en route. They will also pay homage at war memorials en route, raise awareness and encourage the youth to join the Indian Army. And an Indian Air Force contingent which participated in the Red Flag exercise in Alaska earlier this month flew back to India on Thursday. On their way back, the Air Force conducted airway drills with the Egyptian and Greek Air Forces. The Indian Air Force's Rafale fighter jets carried out complex missions along with F-16 and F-15 combat aircraft at a multi-nation mega military exercise in Alaska in the United States. A significant milestone for the International Solar Alliance, as the Republic of Paraguay has officially become its 100th full member. Launched on 30th November 2015 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of France, Emmanuel Macron, during COP21 summit in Paris, the International Solar Alliance aims to accelerate the deployment of solar energy globally in support of climate action. Headquartered in India, the International Solar Alliance has now brought together several countries to collectively address barriers related to technology, finance and capacity in scaling up solar energy. India is playing a crucial role in shaping the sustainable energy future by providing renewable energy solutions to the world, especially for the global south. The International Solar Alliance serves as a vital platform for international collaboration, uniting nations in their efforts to combat climate change and facilitate transition towards the use of solar energy on a global scale. And next we take a look at what else is happening across the world. UNICEF's executive director visited children displaced by war at Port Sudan's Abdullah Naj camp on Tuesday. A report from the aid organization said that over 400 children were reportedly killed or injured in Sudan's El Fasher in the past 7 weeks. Hunger continues to haunt the country's children, though. Global Hunger Monitor on Thursday said that Sudan is facing the risk of famine in 14 years. Russia's President Vladimir Putin awarded the President of Congo, Denis Nguesso, a Russian State Award as they met in Moscow on Thursday. The award was for the great contribution to the development and strengthening of relations between the two countries. A German butcher is making sausage in national colours to honour Euro 2024. The Euro 2024 soccer tournament has recently completed the preliminary round and will end with the final on July 14th. The butcher combines the national colours, black, red and gold, and turns them into an edible German flag. Torrential recent rains in Chile have brought back to life the reservoirs and lagoons that have dried up after years of drought, with dramatic images of cracked lake beds replaced by mirror-like still waters. A severe drought over the years had decimated water supplies, but the recent rains have refilled the lakes. Experts believe a recent El Niño weather pattern brought low-pressure storms from the Pacific, heralding strong winter rains. What a majestic view there. So with that story of environmental recovery, we wind up this edition of DD India Global. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can catch all the latest news and updates on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. So we will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from my entire team here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.
This week on Defense Dynamics, our special program is on India's formidable light combat helicopter, the Prachand. We get to you the finer details that you always wanted to know. Watch us on DD India every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. IST.